Don't look between my legs. Emily's voice broke into the empty prairie, trembling with fear. It wasn't modesty she begged for. It was dignity, the last fragile shred of humanity she still clung to. Her white dress had been ripped into rags by the ropes that bound her. Every pull tightened the fabric until it tore wider, leaving her bruised skin bare against the harsh wind. The sun scorched above, merciless and heavy. Sweat mixed with blood streaking down her face. Her wrists bled where the rope bit deeper. Her ankles swelled from the strain. Every rut in the dirt road sent pain ripping through her body. Jack Slater walked beside the wagon, his eyes shining with cruel delight. He wasn't in a hurry. He wanted to savor every moment of her suffering. Pretty little thing, he sneered, his grin sharp as a knife. They'll pay double for you. Maybe triple. The wagon creaked and groaned, its wheels shrieking like they too cried for mercy. Emily tried to scream, but her voice cracked and broke. Out here in the wide plains, her cry carried no weight. The prairie stretched forever, endless yellow grass swaying in the hot wind. No houses, no riders, no mercy. Her father was miles away, asleep in his bed, unaware that his only daughter had been stolen under the cover of night. No one could hear her now. No one would come. Jack climbed onto the wagon, his shadow falling over her trembling body. He grabbed her chin, forcing her eyes to meet his. You think someone's coming for you? His voice was low, almost calm, which made it worse. They're not. You belong to me until I sell you. That's your only future. Emily jerked her head away, but his grip tightened. Digging into her jaw until her teeth ached. The sting of his touch burned worse than the ropes. She clenched her teeth, fighting back a sob. She would not give him the satisfaction. But Jack was patient. He enjoyed watching defiance crumble piece by piece. With a twisted smile, he leaned close to her ear. By sunrise, you'll wish you were dead. The words sent ice into her chest. Her heart raced. Her breath came sharp and shallow. The wagon rattled on, wheels thudding over rocks. Emily's eyes searched the horizon, desperate for a sign of hope. But there was nothing, only the fading sun, the endless road, and the laughter of her captor. Her mind tried to escape, drifting back to the ranch, her father's stern but kind face, the sound of cowbells in the morning. The laughter of workers at dusk, the smell of bread from the kitchen, it all felt so far away, like a dream slipping through her fingers. Tears filled her eyes. She whispered into the dry air, her voice barely more than breath. Please, someone save me. Jack laughed, a sound sharp and cruel. He cracked the whip, the noise tearing through the silence like a gunshot. The horses lunged forward. The wagon jolted. Emily's body slammed into the rough boards, pain exploding through her side, her vision blurred. She tasted blood on her lips. The world spun around her in dizzying circles, her strength drained away. Leaving nothing but fear and the crushing weight of helplessness, the sky bled into twilight. Shadows stretched long across the land. Jack's figure loomed above her. A monster carved from malice. The ropes dug deeper. Her spirit flickered like a dying flame. But even as darkness fell, one question lingered. Would this night be her last? Or would fate bring someone to change the course of her story forever? Yet fate had more cruelty in store, waiting in the shadows of the coming night. Night fell fast on the open prairie. Emily lay tied inside the wagon, every breath shallow, every heartbeat loud in her ears. The ropes cut deeper. Her dress ripped even more, leaving her skin raw and her body trembling in the cold. Her mind drifted, between pain and strange half-dreams. She thought she heard voices in the distance, maybe riders, maybe shadows. Then it happened. A sound of hooves thundered from behind. Not one horse, but many. Jack's head snapped up, his eyes wide with panic. He cursed under his breath and yanked the reins. The wagon jolted hard, sending Emily crashing against the boards. Her cry was muffled, lost in the chaos of stomping hooves and shouting men. Jack looked back, fear written all over his face. These were no friends of his. They wanted him dead. He dragged Emily out of the wagon, shoving her forward like a human shield. Her torn dress fluttered in the wind, stray with dirt and blood. She struggled weakly, eyes wide in terror, but Jack only tightened his grip. The riders closed in. Gunfire cracked in the night. Bullets sparked against the wagon wheels. Jack shoved Emily down, then suddenly let go. For the first time, she realized he was not protecting her. He was using her to buy time. And when the bullets came too close, Jack made his choice. He threw her back into the wagon, lashed the horses, and ran. The wagon lurched forward, wood screaming under the strain. The road twisted, the wheels slipped, and then came the sickening crash. The wagon toppled sideways, dragging Emily with it. Her body slammed against the ground, the sharp edge of broken wood tearing into her side. Pain seared through her, and her world went black. Silence fell. The riders vanished into the night, chasing Jack. The prairie grew still again, as if nothing had happened. But there she was, alone, bleeding. Her dress now nothing more than shredded cloth, clinging to her body like a second skin. Her lips moved faintly, whispering a prayer no one could hear. Hours passed. The moon climbed high, bathing her in silver light. Emily drifted in and out of consciousness, haunted by nightmares of laughter and shadowy hands pulling her down. Her body shook, her eyes fluttered, but no one came. Then the first rays of dawn touched the horizon. A horse neighed in the distance. Was it real or just another dream? The morning sun broke over the hills, spilling light across the prairie. Emily's body lay twisted beside the wrecked wagon, her breath shallow, her dress in tatters, her skin bruised and bloodied. For hours she had drifted between dreams and nightmares, half alive, half gone. Then came the sound, a horse's steady hooves on dry earth. Not the thunder of an angry mob this time. Just one horse, calm and sure. The sound grew closer. Her eyelids fluttered, but she could not lift her head. John Carter was out early guiding his old bay toward the river for water. At 58, his back was stiff, his beard gray, but his eyes were sharp as ever. He had seen trouble before. Outlaws, gunmen, men who took what was not theirs. But nothing could prepare him for what he saw that morning. The mayor stopped, ears twitching, uneasy. John frowned, scanning the ground. Then he saw it, a trail of blood in the dust. It led straight to the overturned wagon by the riverbank. He stepped closer, boots crunching on the dry grass. At first, he thought it was a corpse, a girl, tangled in ropes, her white dress torn to rags, skin marked with bruises. Her arm dangled lifelessly over the wagon edge. Blood dried across her hand. John knelt beside her. He touched her cheek, rough fingers brushing away dirt and blood. Her skin was cold, but then he felt it. The faint rise and fall of her chest. She was alive. Easy now, he murmured more to himself than to her. He reached for his knife, cutting the ropes that bound her wrist. The fibers were soaked with blood where they had bitten into her skin. As the ropes fell away, Emily stirred. Her lips moved. Her eyes blinked open, glazed with fear. She looked straight at him. Voice, a broken whisper. Don't look between my legs." Her words sent a chill through John, not from shame, but from fury. He understood at once what kind of evil she had endured, and he swore silently that whoever had done this would pay. John eased her down gently, covering her with his coat. He gave her a sip of water from his canteen, watching her cling to it like a lifeline. Her eyes searched his face, trying to understand if this man was friend or foe, and for the first time since her nightmare began, she saw something she thought she had lost. Kindness. Now folks, this story is just beginning to unfold. If you want to see where it leads, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the next part, because what comes next will shock you even more. The sun climbed higher, warming the riverbank where John had laid Emily to rest beneath his coat. Her breathing steadied, though every WSE on her face told him she was still in pain. John kept scanning the horizon. Instincts sharpened from a lifetime out here. And sure enough, trouble was already riding back. Jack Slater was not done. His escape from the night before had bought him a few hours, but rage brought him back. He wanted to erase the only witness left behind. And more than that, he wanted revenge on whoever had stolen his prize. John saw him first, a lone rider cutting across the prairie, dust rising behind his horse. The rancher's jaw tightened. He slid his hand to the Colt at his hip. Steady and calm at 58. His draw was slower than in his youth, but his aim was true. And today he had more than himself to protect. Jack dismounted with a wild grin, his revolver already in hand. Well, looks like you picked up what belongs to me. His voice was slick with venom. John stepped forward, placing himself between Jack and the girl. She belongs to nobody. Not to you. Not to any man. The tension cracked like dry wood. Jack raised his gun and the first shot rang out. John ducked, returning fire. The two men circled, bullets sparking off the wagon wreck in the riverstones. Emily stirred at the noise, eyes wide with terror. But too weak to cry out, the fight shifted closer. Jack lunged, slamming into John, and the guns tumbled into the dirt. Now it was fists raw and brutal. Jack swung wild, fury in every blow. But John fought with the cold precision of a man who had nothing left to lose. Dust rose around them as they grappled, the river glinting in the sun. At last, John drove his fist into Jack's jaw, sending him sprawling. He scrambled for his gun, leveled it, and fired a warning shot inches from Jack's head. The outlaw froze, eyes wide, chest heaving. For the first time, Jack Slater realized he had been beaten. John bound him with the same ropes that had held Emily's hazy, his face carved with steel. You'll face the law, and you'll pay for every scream she ever made. Jack spat in the dirt, but said nothing. The fight was over. Emily watched through half-closed eyes, relief mixing with exhaustion. John turned back to her, his voice softer now. It's done. You're safe. But was she? Because while the outlaw was caught, the law of the frontier was never simple. And as Emily's father came riding into the picture, another question loomed. What would he say about the bond already forming between his daughter and an aging rancher? The dust had barely settled when John tied Jack Slater and hauled him up onto the wagon. Emily lay weak but alive, wrapped in John's coat, her eyes closing as exhaustion pulled her under. John glanced at her once more, then at the outlaw tied behind. There was no glory in this victory, only a duty to see it through. He guided the wagon slowly back toward his ranch. The prairie stretched wide around them, golden grass waving in the morning wind. By the time they arrived, Emily had slipped into a restless sleep. John lifted her gently, carried her inside, and laid her on a clean bed. For the first time in days, she could rest without fear. That night, John sat by the fire, the outlaw locked in the barn under heavy chains. He listened to the crackle of the flames and the quiet breathing of the girl asleep inside. At 58, he thought he had seen it all, but this night proved him wrong. Life could still surprise him. The next morning, John delivered Jack Slater to the sheriff in town. There would be a trial, and the law would do what needed to be done. Justice would come, though it would never erase the scars left behind. John returned to the ranch, where Emily waited with eyes brighter than before. Her wounds were healing, and so was her spirit. Days passed. Emily grew stronger. She helped with small chores, fed the chickens, and watched John work with the cattle. At first, her gratitude showed in quiet smiles. But slowly, it deepened into something more, a trust, a bond, the kind of feeling neither of them had expected. John felt it too, though he hid it behind his weathered face. He knew the world would question a love between a young woman and an older rancher. But the heart does not measure years. It only measures kindness. And in that, John had given her everything. Weeks later, Emily's father finally rode up to the ranch. The reunion was filled with tears, relief, and gratitude. He thanked John for saving his daughter, though his eyes carried questions about what had grown between them. Emily clung to her father. Yet, when she looked back at John, her gaze held a promise. "This isn't the end," her eyes seemed to say. And so, the story left us here, a girl who had suffered but found hope again. A man who thought his best days were behind him, only to discover a new reason to fight. An outlaw punished, but also a warning that evil never sleeps on the frontier. So what do we take from this? That even in the darkest nights, the kindness can be the light. That strength is not only in the gun, but in the choice to protect someone weaker. And maybe, just maybe, that love can bloom in the most unlikely places. Now, let me ask you, if you were Emily's father, what would you say about the bond between her and John? And if you were John, would you dare to love again at such an age? Before you leave, hit the like button if this story moved you and subscribe so you never miss the next tale from the Wild West. 'Cause every story here carries a lesson.